The galaxy had been mapped, charted, and cataloged, but one truth remained constant across every world humanity encountered. Survival was not guaranteed. Civilizations rose and fell on their ability to endure, and sometimes even the mightiest species discovered their own bloodlines were fading. That was a grim reality faced by the Varians, an ancient, elegant people of ivory skin, jewel-bright eyes, and curling horns who had ruled their sector for millennia. Beneath their splendor, however, a silent catastrophe had taken root. Generations of chemical warfare, radiation from their dying sun, and genetic bottlenecks had left them infertile. Birth rates collapsed to nearly zero, and entire cities echo with the quiet of empty nurseries. The Council of Matriarchs, rulers of the Empire, sought every cure imaginable. Genetic resequencing, artificial wombs, cloning. All had failed. Their power meant little if there were no children to inherit it. Then came a discovery, not in their laboratories, but on a remote frontier world. Humans. At first, they regarded humanity as primitive, fragile, and irrational, but what caught their attention was biology. Humans possess an astonishing trait no other known species shared: continuous fertility. Where most species were bound by cycles, rituals, or narrow windows of mating, humans could conceive year-round. Their reproductive cells were vigorous, adaptable, and almost aggressive in their determination to propagate life. The first Varian geneticists were stunned by the results of their quiet studies. Where Varian ova faltered, human gametes were relentless. Human breeding material, one researcher said in a hushed report, it may be the only solution. The Council of Matriarchs, desperate to save their people, authorized Project Continuum, an interspecies fertility program. Volunteers would be sought, incentives offered, resistance was expected, but the Varians had little choice. Humanity's biology might mean their salvation. That was how Elias Ward, a young xenobiologist from Earth, found himself summoned to the Varian capital. He had studied alien genetics for years, but never imagined he would become part of an experiment. The council chamber where he stood was vast, its crystalline arches glowing with soft azure light. Seated on thrones of ivory stone, the matriarchs regarded him with a mixture of pride and hunger. "You understand why you are here, human?" the eldest asked, her voice resonant, her golden inlaid horns gleaming. Elias nodded. "You believe my species can restore yours." "Not merely restore," another answered, her voice lined with grief. "Ensure survival. Our daughters are strong and beautiful, but barren. You carry the spark they lack. Will you give it freely?" Elias felt the weight of generations pressing down on him. He understood what they were asking, and the solemnity in their eyes made refusal impossible. "I'll help," he said quietly. He was introduced to Serenia Vera, a noble woman chosen as one of the first participants. Nearly 7 feet tall, graceful yet powerful, she had skin with a faint pearl shimmer and horns that arched like a crown. When they met in the chamber prepared for them, her voice was hushed with unease. "I did not wish this, but without it my line ends. I am the last daughter of my house." Elias offered a small, awkward smile. "I didn't expect my career to take this direction either." Her lips curved faintly. "You fear me?" "I fear failure," he admitted. Her hand, cool and trembling, brushed against his. "Then let us not fail. Together." Their union was not the sterile, clinical procedure one might expect from a research project. At first it was awkward. 2 species, 2 bodies, trying to learn each other. But desperation has a way of stripping hesitation away. Serenia's eyes glistened as though she carried the weight of her entire race, and Elias, moved by that silent plea, gave himself fully. When it was over, she clung to him and whispered, "If life stirs within me, you will be the father of our people." Weeks passed, filled with tests and hushed anticipation. Then one morning Serenia emerged from the medical wing, her hands clutching a diagnostic slate, tears streaming down her face. "It worked," she whispered to Elias. "By the stars, it worked." Against all odds, she was pregnant. The news spread like wildfire across the empire. Bells rang in the temples, horns sounded from towers, and Serenia was hailed as the mother of Continuum. Elias, bewildered but proud, was suddenly treated as a living treasure. Other Varian women, Some with tears in their eyes, begged to be chosen next. For the first time in centuries, hope had returned. But hope always brings shadows. Among both humans and Varians, protests erupted. Some humans argued their men were being reduced to breeding stock. Some Varians accused the council of contaminating their bloodlines, diluting what it meant to be Varian. Elias found himself caught in the storm, torn between honor and unease. One night, as Serena lay beside him, he whispered, "Do you love me, or only what I can give you?" She turned, her luminous eyes reflecting starlight. "At first, I saw you only as salvation. But now, you are the one who looked at me not as a prize or specimen, but as a woman afraid of extinction. That is why I choose you, not just as father to my child, but as my mate." Her words steadied him. Slowly, the experiment expanded. More unions were arranged, more pregnancies confirmed. Human men, some volunteers, some adventurers, seeking wealth, were paired with Varian women. Each successful conception filled another empty nursery. The children were hybrids, smaller than Varians, but hardier, with human adaptability laced into their veins. Some bore faint horns, others none at all, but they were alive, vigorous, and full of promise. For the first time in centuries, Varian cities rang with the cries of newborns. Humanity, once overlooked, found itself elevated in galactic politics. What others had dismissed as crude breeding material was now recognized as the key to saving entire civilizations. Other infertile species began to take notice. For Elias and Serena, duty blossomed into love. He stood beside her during labor, gripping her hand as she gave birth. When their daughter cried for the first time, Serena's tears fell freely. The child had pearl-white skin and a tuft of dark human hair. Serena looked at him fiercely. "She is ours, Elias. Not just yours, not just mine. She is the bridge between two peoples." He held his daughter, feeling destiny pulse within her tiny body. Then let her be the first of many. Decades later, historians would look back at that moment as a turning point, when humanity was no longer seen as fragile newcomers, but as indispensable allies, their biology carrying the promise of renewal. But to Elias, none of that mattered in the quiet moments. It wasn't politics he thought of when Serena's hand slipped into his, or when his daughter laughed for the first time, or when more hybrid children filled the nurseries. It was something simpler, something profoundly human. Salvation had come not through conquest, but through compassion, not through domination, but through love. Human breeding material had saved the Varians. But it was love, messy, complicated, utterly human love, that gave them a future worth living.